Time once again for another edition of Financial Choices Matter with Charles Scott and myself. Charles, my friend, a lot of media madness going on, has been, for the last, for a while, but it's certainly been going on for the calendar year of 2025. And I want to talk a little bit about kind of, all the talking heads, what they have to say. Do we count? Probably not. We're little talking heads, maybe, versus right. Big talking heads.
Yeah.
And then also want to talk about something interesting a lot of people might not know about called state filial laws. Am I saying that right?
Filial laws, yes.
Filial laws. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that this week here on the show. You doing all right?
Yeah, great. Spring is here. Spring is here. Spring training's going on. It's fun.
It's good stuff. Well, about this time we're going to drop this podcast. It's probably about time for the season to start.
Into March, baseball starts for real.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Then by the time we drop this one, it'll actually be started.
There we go. Yeah. So.
All right. So let's start with the media madness. Talking heads. I mean, it's a business, right? I mean, television is 24/7, 1,000 channels.
Yeah. All day. Yeah. No, it's. I just turn it off a lot. I mean, there's things we get, our kids are millennials. They send us stuff all the time. Did you look at this? I said, no, I don't look at that stuff. I don't need more distraction. I need to let my brain rest. I've, done this a long time, and there's a lot of stuff up there, and it just needs to cool off sometimes. So that's the way we go. But
if you're looking at things as an investor or building a portfolio or thinking about your retirement, it never ends, right? And so it's easy to get so worked up, and then you maybe wind up making decisions you don't need to make.
And it takes a certain discipline, and I think I've gained that perspective over time to not get so excited about all the stuff all the time, because it's just most of the time not worth getting excited about. And I've got to shut stuff off. And I'll be just perfectly candid. Sometimes it's just like, I just want to watch a really nice Hallmark movie because I know how it's going to end, but they're cute. And I don't have.
Well, of course. Yeah. They have a formula and they do it every single time.
They know exactly what they're doing. And, I'd like to think I do too, but it's totally different. And it doesn't have to be more news, more info, more. Yeah. It doesn't have to be more. It can certainly be less. But here's what we've seen.
Okay.
With all of the stuff, because everybody wants to get their stuff. Everybody's chasing being noticed.
Right. We all have that fear of missing out, right?
Yeah. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make predictions. Prognostications. I'm going to.
All right.
I'm going to throw stuff out there all the time. So I'm going to be
the great prognostications with Chaz.
That's very. I'm going to give you some outlooks because here's our outlook on what's going to go on. Especially financially. Everybody. That's a really word in the financial. We're going to provide outlooks for you. This is like
it's a nice buzzword.
It's a good buzzword. Opinions, because everybody has opinions. You have opinions. I have opinions. Everybody should have opinions.
Yep.
And the other one that I think is interesting also, and this is way more in the financial world, is forecasts. Not weather forecasts, but financial forecasts.
Right. Financial forecasting, yeah.
Here's my take of all of this. If you take those guesses, if you will, predictions of the future, you get, what did I say? There's predictions, outlooks, opinions, and forecasts. Put the first letters of all of them together and it spells poof. That's how safe and secure and really valuable a lot of this stuff is. It's just poof.
That's hilarious. There's a South Park episode years ago where they're going to invest their money and they go talk to a broker and they're going to raise some money. I can't remember the exact setup, but anyway, basically the gist, and they've made a meme out of it, is that as soon as they give him the money, the guy hits the button and it's gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So poof, right?
That was 2008?
Something like that. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, that's it. That's if you really break it down, it's just poof.
Well, so when people are trying to figure out what to do with their, money and their investments and their stuff, we're inundated with stuff all the time, right?
Sure.
We consume more information in an hour than I think, our great grandparents probably did in a year. I mean, and that's not really an exaggeration either.
No, it's really not. We've seen stuff like statistical things like that, which is just ridiculous because your brain you can't
handle it. Yeah.
You can't handle it.
And that leads us to go against the very natures of basic investing, right? We all know we're supposed to buy low and sell high, but we tend to, so, tech is super overinflated. At the time we're recording this, it could change between now and the time we drop it, but still, tech is really overinflated. You've got, all these different kinds of things happening, and you go, well, I want to get in on some of that, right? Gold has taken a spike over the last year. People are like, oh, let me get in on a 92-year-old lady the other day. She knows what I do for a living. She's like, hey, can you help me figure out how to get gold? And I'm like, what do you need gold for? You're 92.
It does nothing.
Well, and so she's like, well, I keep seeing I'm panicking, right? She's like, I'm panicking about the dollar amount, the value of the dollar. And it's just stuff like that, right? So it leads us to go down these paths without doing research.
We'll do the value of the dollar next time we do this. Next time you and I sit down, Mark, under all the presidents going back to before Reagan.
Okay.
That's a very interesting perspective on that. No,
the history of the value of the dollar. Okay.
History of the value of the dollar. Yeah. Compared to the rest of the world.
Talking about gold. Gold has done really well the last year.
Yeah.
But if you look at it at an average over 10 or 20 years, it stays pretty flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. So again, talking heads are always going to have something to talk about. Well, they need something to talk about, but that's why you have to, that's why you have to kind of follow up and say, look, if you learn something or you get intrigued by something, that's when you take it to someone, locally in your neck of the woods and you say, hey, and how does this work?
If you want it and and you might say, well, gold's a good example. Somebody, I want to do this. Okay, I'll do that for you. I won't do it for anybody else because you're asking me and I'll do it. We have people call all the time saying, I want to buy the stock. Okay, I'll do that.
Let me tell you the pros and cons.
And then I ask them two questions. How much do you want to buy and when do you want to get out if it doesn't work? Right. And they go, huh? They get the first part. They don't get the second part. What if it doesn't work? What's your get out point? Which is, oh, that wasn't a good idea. They don't have that. They've never thought that way.
Right.
So,
but I'll still does it work within? Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not the money police. It's their money. So
I told them that too. It's your money. You can do whatever you want to with it.
Right. But does it work within the strategy? A part of a cohesive strategy. So So just be careful of the media madness, right? There's always going to be something. Plus, back to the gold. I'll just finish it off with this. The thing that always cracks me up about the gold, right? The value of the dollar is dropping by gold, but they still want you to pay for the gold with dollars. Yeah. I always thought that was funny to me.
Now it's Bitcoin.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. Still.
All right. So let's talk about our second thing this week, Charles. What is state filial? I don't know why I can't say that.
I don't know why you can't either. But filial.
Filial.
F-I-L-I. I'm looking. F-I-L-I-A-L. Filial support laws.
Okay. What are they?
Several states have them. 25 states have them. It holds adult children of elderly parents to be financially responsible for the debts the parents have.
Oh, wow.
If they default on the debt, they have to financially support when their parents aren't able to take care of themselves. Now, 25 states have them, the others don't. What we have found is there's been a tendency not to really enforce them, even though they're on the books, because it really hasn't made that much difference in a lot of cases. But now with the cost of healthcare and aging and, people are spending potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars taking care of mom and dad, and mom and dad's money's running out. And,
interesting.
And Medicaid, the states are now looking to enforce those states that already have laws in place are looking to enforce them a lot more aggressively. And states that have never had laws are now looking at creating laws because Medicaid, which is a state expense, just crushes. It's getting crushed now by this.
Interesting.
So this is something that, we haven't done a lot of digging other than we know it exists. And, Arizona is a state that does not have filial laws. In the West, it's only Utah, Nevada.
My state does. Interesting.
Your state does, yes. Oregon, and California, Nevada, and Utah in the West, North and South Dakota. I'm not going to read them all. And then a bunch of stuff from east of the Mississippi, with a few exclusions. Most of those states have filial laws.
Yeah, it popped up since we were talking about it. So it popped up for my state here of North Carolina. And it's like, it's a misdemeanor to fail to support an ill or indigent parent.
There you go.
Interesting.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, and we've seen and talked about things for years, as a society where, like, different cultures do a much better job of caring for their elderly than we do, looking at like some of the Asian cultures, for example.
Sure.
And so it's interesting that we have this stuff on the books, but you never really hear about it. Don't know it exists for most of the time.
Yeah. And, so it's going to become much more present. Which just leads honestly to a long-term care insurance conversation.
Right. I was going to say that kind of seems like the way this is headed, clearly, right?
It is, because then you've laid off the responsibility back to the family, and there's some great ways to fund that now that never used to exist. Okay. And it's a lot. There's a lot more creative. We can kind of wrap it up with this concept that long-term care insurance used to be the use it or lose it. You pay a premium every year, and if you never need it, then you've paid the premium every year, like your car insurance.
Exactly.
The new versions of this now, and there's still those policies that exist, like there always have been, but the newer ones have the ability to, if you use insurance, you own the policy. It's not a use it or lose it. You own the value inside a policy. And if you never need it, then it passes on to your beneficiaries, like a life insurance policy or an annuity policy. So it's a lot more flexible, and you don't run the risk of, well, I never needed it and I just paid a premium for nothing. So, and that ties in with the whole filial loss situation, where the kids are going to A, maybe don't get an inheritance, B, have to pay for mom and dad to make it even worse. And so let's be aware of all this stuff that's out there.
Really.
There are workarounds. There are ways to solve these situations that make financial sense, and that's why we get to do what we do. It's let's come up with what's bugging you, and let's see if we can't fix it.
Well, and in order to kind of work on some of these things and why Charles does what he does, if you need some help with that, reach out to him at PelletonCapital.com and have a conversation about what that might look like and how it might affect your situation coming down the pike. Long-term care, obviously, just even having a conversation about some of these changes and how long-term care is now working versus the old version. So if you got some questions, need some help, click the link below. We'll have the information down there. That way you can just get a hold of Charles and Sherry and have a chat for yourself. Have the phone number and the website and all that good stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And we'll see you next time here on Financial Choices Matter with Charles Scott. Again, thanks for hanging out, buddy. I always appreciate it.
I'm hoping you're getting wiser as often as we've done this now, Mark, but all I can do is hope. And I appreciate.
Are you saying that I'm not wise?
No, I'm not at all. I'm saying that we have so much fun doing this, I sometimes forget the purpose.
Yeah, no, actually, I always learn something new. I mean, like this, I can't say it. I'm not even going to try it again. But filial laws, right? So yeah, no, that's interesting stuff for sure. And now that I know that it's in my estate, I'll have to point this out to my mom. She's 83. She's going to be like, "See, told you,
told you, take care of me." You're the good son. Okay,
that's right. Yeah, well, that is true. I am the good son. So we'll see you next time here on the podcast, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch you later.
Appreciate it.
Ready to learn more? Get a complimentary review of your retirement landscape today. Reach out to Charles and Sherry at Pelleton Capital. Don't wait and let time pass you by. Sit down and build a rock-solid strategy that keeps the focus on you and your family. Visit Pelleton Capital or click the link in the show description. And don't forget to subscribe to Financial Choices Matter on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Financial planning and investment advisory services are provided by Pelleton Capital Management Limited, a state-registered investment advisor. Past performance is not indicative of future results. No one should assume the information presented here serves as a receipt of or substitute for personalized individual advice provided by Pelleton Capital Management. For more information, visit www.pelletoncapital.com.